So I'm Jonathan Weed, Senior Programmer Analyst at Messiah College.
Can you hit record?
I can. So I'm Jonathan Weed, take two, Senior Programmer Analyst at Messiah College. And what we're going to talk about is how we sort of exploited, I guess is a good word, the Jadu Directories. And I'm going to start off by playing a video for you.
All right, well, hey everyone. So sorry I can't be there with you today. Denver is literally one of my favorite cities, so I'm definitely bummed that I'm not there exploring the city with you. Before I hand this off to John Weed, I wanted to take a few minutes and just walk you through some of the strategic decisions we made with this project, and how we display and how we really focused on the user experience, our prospective students, and how we distributed our academic program content. And we do that in a few different ways. One of the big ways we do that is through our program listing page. So this is just an aggregated listing of all the programs we have on our campus. And we also have academic program pages, and this is the details about one specific program. So I do have a good bit of evidence just to support the importance of these academic program pages. You can see here that our majors minors page, this is that academic program listing page, is the second most popular page on our entire website, second only to the home page. Also, if I group this by content, you'll see that academics in general is the fourth most popular, really the second most popular, because we have Nolan not set here, these the home page and some other things. But academic content, these are the program pages, those program details are way up there as well. So we all know that this is important. And actually last year I did a presentation on this project, and I wanted to just kind of share a few notes from that presentation. I won't go through the whole thing. But this is our original program page. This is 4 iterations ago. And as you can see, all of our programs are just in alpha order. And there's no search, there's no filter, no anything. And one of the things that we really struggled with this page was that students would come in and they would search for a specific program. So let's say graphic design. As you can see here on this page, graphic design is a concentration within studio art. So a prospective student would come in and they would scroll down to the G's and they wouldn't see graphic design, and they would say, oh, I guess Messiah College doesn't have this program. I'm going to cross it off my list. So when it comes to revenue generation and return on investment, I think the program listing page is probably the most powerful page on your website in terms of generating revenue. You can see there with just that example, we lost revenue because a prospective student came here and made an assumption that we don't have a specific program because graphic design wasn't listed with the G's. We know that to be true on the national stage as well. This is a Nielsen-Norman statistic. 48% of users didn't realize that a university offered the program that they were looking for, even when it did. So that's a pretty shocking statistic there. And again, that's really just a user experience issue. Campuses need to do a better job making it easy for prospective students to find programs through that aggregated listing page and also through their search results. This is our second iteration of that page. So knowing what we knew about that first iteration where we just had the straight alpha list, we wanted to introduce a program search. We also wanted to allow students to sort by different departments and different colleges that we had on campus. And we also wanted them to be able to kind of show me graduate degrees, show me undergrad degrees. So we had some cool things happening on this page. And we look at the heat map. This is using Crazy Egg. One of the interesting things we found was that a lot of people were going to sort by. And they were opening it and dropping it down, and they were seeing departments and colleges, but they weren't clicking on that. So we had kind of built this whole page around organizing our content by department and colleges. And as it turns out, prospective students don't really understand what a department and a college is. You know, we're Messiah College. Why do we have individual schools and colleges within our college? It just doesn't make sense to a 17-year-old. So we knew that we probably needed to build this page and meet the expectations of prospective students and allow it to function a little bit more like they were intending it to function. Another thing we knew is that mobile traffic on our site had increased 141% since 2013. That's pretty significant. So one of the things I did is I started doing user testing. I use usertesting.com to do this, and you'll kind of see how this works.
Which is nice. They have civil engineering, and that was an easy search that they had. And also, if I wanted to, I could have searched it manually. So it's A, B, C, civil engineering. But I noticed in some of these it has a BS or BA or MBA. So I noticed that means bachelor's or master's in business administration. But I noticed for civil engineering they don't offer a bachelor's, so it must be an associate's degree.
Yeah, so that was kind of really revealing. So what we had done on the original page, you could see here we have all these columns. This layout was built in a table, and on mobile we basically just dropped the last the last 5 columns, the major, minor, concentration, and we just included the accounting or the program type, and then the degree and the major. So it makes perfect sense if you are on a desktop computer and you scroll down to civil engineering, you see that it's a concentration. And a concentration lives underneath a bachelor's degree. So if you're receiving a concentration, you're getting the bachelor's degree. However, as you just saw in that user test on mobile, because of the way that we have made the page responsive, it was creating confusion, and prospective students were assuming that our degrees are programs or associate's degrees, and not bachelor's degrees. So obviously a student out of high school looking for a bachelor's degree in civil engineering, if they're on their mobile device, are potentially going to write off Messiah College because of that. So we knew we had to redesign it. We knew we needed to make it more responsive and work a little bit better on mobile devices. So this is where we ended up. You can see here that on mobile, now we put, if it's a major, or minor, or a concentration, so it just responds a little bit better on mobile devices. We can also see from our heat mapping that we introduced this filter by your interest, and that was getting a lot of attention. Prospective students and users really enjoyed that. So I'm going to hop out of the presentation. That gives you a little bit of the background of the presentation and why we kind of move forward with that. There's a couple things I want to show you just on our homepage. We're really intentional about making it easy to find and get to majors, minors, and programs. We also have an academic program link here. Further down on the page, we have what do you want to study? And one of the cool things, and this is the first thing I'll be demoing for you that's powered by Jadu Directory, is our search. So if I come in here and type math, as I type, and I'll do web for example, the program or the page is actually making suggestions, web designer, web developer. And one of the reasons we've done this is we realized that 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds in high school aren't very good at spelling. So people were using our search tool and they were misspelling programs or interests that they had, and it was showing null results. So we wanted to put something in here that was helpful for them, and it made it easy for them to search for programs. So if I search for a program, what's going to happen in this scenario, I search for math. So the page kind of talks to me, says you search for math. Here are some of our math programs. So we have kind of a hard match. So if the search term is included in the program name, we'll kind of give it this hard match where it shows up here under math programs. However, we use metadata in the directory to kind of power this programs related to math. So if I'm interested in math now, I also see accounting and some of these other programs down here. And this really just allows the prospective student to shop and kind of laterally navigate all these different programs on our website. Now, one of the things I want to show you about that is that light box pop-up for the search actually wasn't our idea. We got it when we were doing user testing. So here's another example from user testing on how we kind of thought we introduced this search, and we had the search result page that I just demoed for you. We were excited about it, thought it was going to be great, and then we did a user testing, and we're like, oh, well, I guess it's not really what they were expecting. So challenge accepted, right? This kid was doing user testing for us through usertesting.com. He went to the search feature and said, ideally this would drop down or make some suggestions. So based on his feedback, we implemented the search tool and have some kind of cool things going on here. So this is the new program listing page. As I mentioned earlier, this is our 4th iteration of the program listing page. And I've kind of already demoed the search. As I mentioned earlier, the interests are really, really popular. So if I click on history, if I'm a prospective student interested in history, it's going to automatically filter this page and just show us history programs. And as you notice too, as I filter, the page isn't reloading, so it's happening really quick. Gives you kind of that app feel. Also, we allow people to click an icon to filter the list. So if I'm interested in history and want to do teaching, I can click on teaching cert there, and I see that social studies is probably the program that I would want to pursue in that case. One thing we did was we introduced something called a program peak. So this isn't like a mountain peak. This is like, kind of peeking, across the room or into a doorway. We introduced this program peak feature to allow students to laterally navigate from program to program. So originally when we released this page, when you clicked on accounting, it would take you to the program page that we see here. So you wouldn't get that little program peak light box there. So this is a really cool tool. We noticed during some of our surveys and user testing that sophomores and juniors during the college search process really didn't want to be down in the details of a program page. They just wanted to see like a quick overview. Is this a major or a minor? What department does this live in? And again, we're using those related keywords that we do for the search results to actually introduce programs relating to accounting. So maybe finance, maybe mathematics, whatever. The user can click here and see a few additional programs, allowing them again to laterally navigate from the page. And I have another example of that user testing here. So in this test, we basically ask a user, we send them to the live site, which didn't have that 4th iteration of the program page, where when they clicked on the program, it just took them right to the program page. And then in the newer version, we had it on our dev site. It opened up that program peak. And this is just the user responding to those 2 different options.
Now visit our live listing page. This feels like, wow, this is pretty similar. At first glance, click on Art Studio. Oh my goodness, yeah, I'm really glad you guys are changing this. What interface do you like the most? I like the original. This is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it's frustrating. If I'm not entirely sure what I want, if I'm sure what I want, it doesn't matter, because I'll just click visit page anyway. But I'm not sure what I want. The new interface is much, much easier. It allows a little bit of information, so I can go back if I'm like, this isn't exactly what I want. And then there's no related in this one. I like the new one, the testing one, a lot better. The first one with the pop-up. I don't like the link.
So there you have it. That's just a user testing kind of responding to the new layout. So we knew after doing a few of those and kind of hearing similar feedback that this program peak was going to be really helpful. So again, the information in the program peak, the information in the search results, the information on this program listing page is all powered from a Jadu directory. We're also able to use that same Jadu directory and get into some of the department pages. So here's the Department of Business. I can click Academic Programs. And now we have academic programs that just live within the Department of Business. So this made it easier for us because every now and then, typically a few times in the course of a year, the provost office will say, hey, we're adding a new program or we're changing a program name. Now we can do this from one spot. We update the record in the directory. That results in the program being removed or added or name changed on the department site, on our search, and also on the program listing page. So this has really just been a powerful tool for us. The second phase of this program, or second phase of this process, is to also do the program pages. So right now this is just a regular old Jadu homepage. So for our undergrad pages we have not done that yet. However, for our graduate degrees, we have just rolled out our program pages, and these program pages are, for the most part, powered by a Jadu directory. So you can see up here we don't have the home page or the info. This is just a directory, basically, or a page that's built from a Jadu directory and then spit out here. So, for example, there's a field in the Jadu directory that determines whether it says concentration, track, major, online, hybrid, or on campus, all that good stuff. All these different tabs are a home page in Jadu. So this actually worked out well because a lot of these tabs from program to program, like tuition and aid, how to apply, and why Messiah, all these tabs are identical for all the different MBA programs. So we're able to create one home page with, in this scenario, tuition cost, and use it on all those pages so we're not managing the same content over and over on different pages. How to apply, you can see we have admissions requirements, next course start dates, and then actual information on accessing the application, creating an account, and then why Messiah here. So again, the main goal here is to tie everything back to a single directory. So if the provost office says, hey, digital marketing's gone, we're not doing it anymore, it's going to be removed from the program listing page, from the site search, and also the actual program page that we're looking at here would be removed as well, and just make it really easy for us to manage all the content from one place. So I hope this helps. I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to John Wheat. He'll talk about some of the ways that we've made this happen and some of the custom development work we've done in Jadu. Thanks a lot.
Let's see. So I've titled this using headless directories, sort of keeping the whole Halloween theme. And this is my only slide because it's all going to be code and actual live demos. You know, I'm going with Andy Green's sort of methodology here. So basically, I don't know if it's an axiom, I don't know the right vocab word, but if you want to make something easier for the user, it becomes incrementally more difficult for the developer. And that's really what we've done here. We made a really easy to use and understand sort of interface for our students. And without Jadu directories, it would have been much more complicated because probably the worst thing you have to do as a developer or build CRUD forms just to manage data and to shove data around. And the Jadu directories gives you a CRUD builder. I mean, if you want to look at it that way. We're using the directories just as a data store, just as a backend database. And what's even better is Kris never has to call me when he has to edit that data. He can log into Jadu and he can make those changes. Now we're using everything he showed you was one directory. And I'll show you that directory. And it is enormous. And there are probably, I don't even know how many fields are on this. So I preloaded all of these pages just in case the internet goes down. And this is an example for the accounting. So obviously, you know, you always have your categories and metadata. But we have links to Smart Catalog, and that's what we use for our course, sort of online courses. And just content for the program peak. Do you want me to stop talking for a second? All right. Here's where you choose your degree type and the full name if you want to specify that, and they can come in and edit any of these. major, minor, concentration. These are all those little extra chiclets or skittles. We call that our Skittles page. So all these little extra notation on those things. And then we have these fields are for that last section he showed you, where we have these tabs. I'm pointing at my screen like that helps you. These tabs down here are all home pages, and in the directory, too many things open, he can actually come in and put in homepage IDs right here, or URLs, depending on what we want this thing to do. So we build that front end super flexible, and based on the data that's in these or in multiple fields, the front end makes a decision on what it's going to pull. Maybe that tab pulls in an external URL, or maybe it's a home page, or maybe it links off somewhere else. So we build in a lot of that functionality. If anything, it's probably over-engineered for flexibility, because in my 16 years of experience at Messiah College, I know eventually somebody's going to want to do this, or they're going to want to make it this. So nothing is ever hard-coded in anywhere. If I can throw it in a database field or a config file or something like that, then that's perfect. And that's what we did here. So there are options here. Kris would log in. He's like, why is this here? I said, well, because I know in 2 weeks you're going to want to be able to change this button text. Even though you told me it was going to be this, you're going to repurpose it for that, and now you can do that. And so we always just sort of look ahead and try to figure out what sorts of things they're going to want to do with these, because they're super, super powerful. And I mean, I've just been scrolling as I'm talking, so you can see how long this is. We have multiple images, and this was sort of a poor example because a lot of these fields are, this is an undergrad program, and a lot of these fields are for this new format, and he's only really built out the graduate programs, but they will be filled out eventually. So the main thing here, our Skittles page, that's not the right one. Oh no, I gotta hit the internet. Perfect. Yeah, that's what it is. No, it's because there's UK people in here. And I'm like, Andy, I mean, it isn't that you're watching, I just can't type. So we have, I'll just scroll down here, who we are. And come on, let's load. There we go. Let's scroll down to, oh, I'm on the About page. Okay, that's better. What do you want to study? Just like Kris did in his video. So here is the Skittles page. It's going to load. And for example, if we choose, I don't know, communications, and I'm just scrolling down, you could easily search for this. It'd probably be a better demo if you search for it. Do communication, and we get our little program peek with the recommended other programs, related programs, and that's all driven by data from that directory. Some of those fields are keyworded, and this little portion is looking at those keywords and pulling those in. This is a JavaScript nightmare. I'm just saying the entire thing is all JavaScript. Once that page loads, we're loading things in the background depending on what you clicked, and just sort of dealing with that aspect of it. When you filter, it's a live filter. The page doesn't reload. So there's a lot of JavaScript going on. If you visit our site with JavaScript disabled, good luck. No, we do have some fallback options. I'm scared to turn JavaScript off because I really don't know what those are, but just know this is really JavaScript heavy. So if you click to go on the program page, this is, I guess, version 1 or the current version of the program page, which will be that nicer, newer version later. But then we also have a little department widget that uses the exact same functionality, but it limits it by department. And so it's basically pulling in that same Skittles section. And if you did a search for communications, then you would see this is what that big list would filter down to immediately. To see how that works, this is a little thing that we implemented. We call it the easy button. you don't really see this, but if you mouse over right here on our site, you see Jadu, and you can click there and it will load. You log in and it takes you straight to that page in the editor. And we did this again to make it easy for the users because they log in and see either a bazillion pages or a blank dashboard, and they have to go on edit. What's that?
So that's going to be a feature app for everybody.
Yeah, all right, yeah, feature request. So then they have to hit home pages and then home page and then navigate and find it. And if they're not the owner, they have to click all home pages and go find it and search and do whatever. So this was just super simple. And
just if you're logged into the website already, or is that?
no, I just logged in right now. So it pops you to the login screen and then pops you to the page. And so what's sort of neat about this is now I'm on this page, and this is what I wanted to show you. So this is our mini Skittle widget, and there's one setting. And when you drop this on a page, all you do is pick your department. And now these are tied to categories. And basically it says, hey, Skittles widget, pull in the Skittles page for this department. And it handles all of that sort of stuff. And we're really lazy at Messiah. I don't know if this is, I've never really asked. I've never really put in the effort. But a lot of our widgets, when we drop them on there, we don't render anything. Some of them we do, some of them we don't. So that's why this just says loading, because it's possibly trying to do an AJAX call in the back to grab that, but I'm not sure. Our users don't care. They have the data on there. It doesn't really need, if I guess we had time and people were complaining about it, we would look into why that just says loading. But nobody's really cared, and it works. So bonus. This is another example of the directories powering, a page. So we have show all majors. This is hitting the same directory. And so we have all of our majors for communications, business administration. If you click on one of those, shows where everybody works. Actually, I guess this would be in our alumni directory, Jadu Directory, because we have a list of, all of this, where they work, what they do, what school they graduated from. We have stats and, featured alum. But this is basically, we're using Jadu as a backend database. And it's saving me from having to build that, saving me from having to manage that and build out an admin interface for it. See, I opened up a lot of different pages to show you guys. I guess I showed you guys everything. Oh, so this is really cool. So you might want to, I don't know if you picked this up in Kris's video, but we have, a URL for this particular page. It's /graduate/ whatever the graduate program is. And that's using some htaccess magic because we're parsing the URLs. And it knows when it hits a /graduate page to go pull from a custom scripts directory. If you've done any PHP development with Jadu, you know what that means. And what's sort of neat is how we get all this to work. So I've built a way, and I did this fairly long ago, to integrate anything that you're building in PHP into your current site's layout. And basically that pulls in your Jadu header and your Jadu footer and smacks them on there. And the header includes the left navigation, and the footer includes the right supplements and navigation. So you can basically embed your own PHP application into your Jadu website wherever you want. And we do this by, we'll pull in some code. Hopefully this won't bore you guys to death. How about the rest of that page? Okay. I've created what we call the A pages. Why A? Because it sorts to the top of my project list, and it's super easy to find, and it wouldn't conflict with anything out of Jadu's. So underneath public HTML, I have an A directory, and this is where we put all of our custom builds. All of this could easily be underneath the custom scripts directory, but shortly after, I found it very cumbersome to do public HTML, site, custom scripts, to drill down every single time. And this was just easier. Like I said, it sorts to the top and everybody's happy. So I have a lib directory in here, and you'll see I have Jadu document footer, Jadu document header, homepage footer, homepage header. So this, if we're going to embed something into a homepage document, obviously use the homepage header and footer, or if we're going to embed into a document page, we use the document one. So why the difference? What we can do, and this took a little bit of hacking. This is, like I was hacking, because there are some variables that trickle down through the building of a homepage that are expected 3 includes deep, where you can trick and set at the top of that. And so that's what we do, and that's why I had to break these out here. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Okay, so we set dir tree, we set include maps, category item array, index page false. I fake out the server script name so it thinks it's home info, PHP, and then I set the get variable homepage ID to a homepage ID that I'm calling ahead of time. Super complex. I've done the thinking for you if you want these files, no problem. But what that allows me to do is end up with something like this, where I've built this registration form. We do a bunch of different camps over the summer and throughout the year, and they all have a different registration form. So I have these built out. And in this page, I have a 2-liner at the top where I set the homepage ID, more on that in a second, and then I call my library. So this is beautiful because basically you can go into your Jadu CMS and figure out the homepage ID of anything on your website. And when you set that, that is going to use that layout's wrap and wrap it around your application. Why that's beautiful is, for example, if this were an admissions day registration form and they want it on the admissions page, I go find the homepage ID for the admissions pages and I put that in there, and now the admissions layout is wrapped around my form. If they go in and tweak the left navigation, if they change categories, all of that is reflected all around my application. So they can feature anything that they want to, and my application just sits happily in the middle there. Then it's embedded into their website. No quotes. It is embedded into their website. You can create friendly URLs to it. You can play around and add HTAccess things, so then it looks cool, and there's no ////// you just have /graduate/ whatever. So there's some really neat things that you can do to sort of embed your own things without breaking core. Lord knows we've broken core so many times. We have core modifications. We were talking about that at lunch. After every update we do, I have 20, 25 different patch files that we run to change certain menu items within the CMS. We tweak some of the homepage properties to change the label names because we're using them other places, that sort of stuff. So we do a lot of different modifications. And the beauty of this is you need a directory somewhere on your site, and you need this lib directory, and then you just need this 2-liner at the top. And if I scroll all the way down, ignore all that nastiness, you just tack the footer onto the bottom. And it's, again, whatever is in your Jadu site's footer. So that's sort of how we accomplish basically a lot of the magic on the website. I don't take any credit for any of the design. If it's gorgeous, I had nothing to do with it. If it's laid out fairly well, I probably had a little bit to do with that, but it's more of the functionality that I build out. So Kris will come with a design. If he's in a really good mood, he will probably pay a freelancer to break that out into HTML. So he hands me a lot of the HTML and the CSS, and then I look at the directory and just build that sort of thing out. One thing we were talking about also is that I build a caching mechanism for the directories. So if Kris adds a new program to the page, that cache is going to be old, and that program page won't be in there. So what I've built for him, because I'm lazy and I want him to be able to help himself, we actually added a Messiah menu on the side. he can actually rebuild these cache files. So let's just do that right now. So that's going to go spin off. Basically what it's doing is it's calling a custom API that I built and building this big JSON blob. And this is just sort of a status. And what I'm going to do is we'll pull this up and we'll show you the mess that this is. That'll work with 2 slashes. Yeah, so that's beautiful. So basically we take this giant, I mean this is the entire directory, so this is a huge file. But what we were finding was that that program lookup page was taking 10, 15 seconds to load because it was saying, hey Jadu, give me all of this information out of the directories. Now granted, my API isn't that efficient. It's super useful and it works, and it was kind of hacked together, and we've already sort of talked about ways for me to improve that. And like today has been awesome. So with that giant JSON file sitting there, now all that JavaScript loves JSON, just grabs it and parses it, and it's super fast now and super efficient. We're not doing a whole lot of database hits. There's no real bandwidth. It just loads everything. So pretty much if I can empower Kris to do things more so he doesn't nag me and send me tasks, you know, if he had to email me every single time he tweaked that program directory, that'd be crazy. That'd be ridiculous if I had to jump to a command line or had to run something to rebuild that JSON file. So, you know, we just do that. And we do that with a few other things too. We have the grad programs. So we have another directory specifically for the grad programs. We have the career directory, that other one that I demoed. And then we also have a rankings. So we have a bunch of statistics in another directory. And so we just build out these cache things. And we have a file directory out there that is just loaded with these JSON files. And so we're able to do a whole lot of things with that. Do you guys have any questions? Because that was really fast. And I mean, I'll be here. I'll be at EDUCAUSE if you guys are here at EDUCAUSE too. So, I mean, I'm more than happy to talk about anything. I'm more than happy to share code if you want to talk about semicolons and, you know, library calls, any of that. You know, I spoke with Kris, and anything we have, you guys are happy to have. Happy to have? I'm happy for you to have, however that goes. Might take some time to gut it out for you because a lot of the stuff is fairly embedded. Now, the Skittles thing is super easy because that's an entire widget. So that is probably the largest widget that we have. It's ginormous. He knows that because I sent it to him, and along with a bunch of other information about how the thing works. So, you know, like I said, I don't know if that would be something that's probably a little too complex to post up to the Jadu library to share among all the Jadu users. It's sort of kind of specific to higher ed, but you know, if you guys seriously have questions or want to share code, do you want me to give you anything, just let me know.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
I'm gonna get